In the next section, I want to show you how to create data from scratch and also how to add data from coordinates, from coordinates that you captured via GPS or in some other way. So the first thing we need is to access our catalog, okay, which is currently not displayed here. So you find it, you go to Windows and you click on catalog there. Right, so then it's displayed. If you want it to be unpinned, just click there. It will only appear when you click on it, and it will disappear again if you're not using it. Alright, so the catalog tree, this is basically where you create new shapefiles or feature classes. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go to my temporary folder. So there's two ways of creating new data. The first one, I'm just going to right click there. I'm going to create a new folder, geog311. Okay, so that's where I want to save my new data. Okay, so I right click in that folder and I click on new, and now it's not actually being displayed for you guys. So I'm just gonna just bear with me for a moment. I just moved it here to the center. So if I right click there, click on new, you will see I have a number of options. Okay, the first one and the most basic one is to click on shapefile. So new shapefile. And let's call this, let's call it roads. And you have to decide, will it be a point, a polygon, polyline, or what type of data this will be. If it's a road, it's going to be a line most likely. And it asks you, what will the spatial reference be? Okay, so here you will need to define a spatial reference system. Okay, so this spatial reference system will be based on the source information on which you are basing this new data on. Okay, so we'll get to that in a moment. Okay, but that's the one way to create a new feature. Let's just, for now it's just wrong, but let's keep it as unknown. That's okay. Just to show you, there it's displayed then, and roads is there, but there's no information containing roads because it's empty. Okay, this is a shapefile. Now this is the oldest Esri format. Is the shapefile. It's widely used. It was a very popular format for a very long time. It still is, but it's got some issues. All right, and it's not the best format to use. The better one these days will be a feature class. So for that, you click on new, and you click on a file database. Okay, so we're going to talk about databases, but what I'm actually now creating is a database, and I can rename it to my database, for instance, and right click on that, and there I can create feature classes. So I'm going to say, okay, let's create a new feature class, and I give it a name, and again it's going to ask me, is it a polygon, is it a line, is it a point, same thing. All right, and then again it asks me, what will the spatial reference system be that I will be using? Okay, and that I need to define here as well. So I'm just going to, for now, just click through the defaults. Next. It's going to ask me, are there any titles that you want to add for columns now in your attribute table? If you know you're going to capture things like, let's say, speed limit, I can add it there, and I can say it will be a double, okay, or it might just be an integer, okay, because it can be 60, 80, 90, 120, 100, whatever. Okay, so speed limit, if I could just spell it. Okay, so I can add the titles for the different columns here already. Okay, and I can say finish, and there you will see, again, it's automatically added, and there it's in my database now. Okay, so those are the ways in which you create new feature classes or shapefiles that you can use to add information to. Okay, so let's leave that for now. I'm going to remove them. The next thing I want to show you, how you will actually capture data then. Okay, so what I'm going to do, add data in this folder. I've got a satellite image, so I'm going to add that satellite image, spot 5. There I have a little satellite image. If I go to its properties, I will see it is in WGS 1984 actually, so it's not in a projected coordinate system, it's in a geographic coordinate system. Alright, but I know what it is. It's WGS 1984. So I want to now, let's say, let's zoom in a bit. I'm going to zoom in here. Let's say I want to capture this landing strip here. Okay, so I want to take a line and just capture that landing strip there. So what I want to do is, first off, again, open up my catalog, and I'm going to do it in my GDatabase. I'm going to say new feature class. I'm going to say landing strip. It's going to be a line. I'm going to say next. Okay, so it gives me an error. All right, what's the error? There's a space. So these GDatabases are, there's some issues. They're a bit specific. You can't have spaces in there. Okay, so but it's going to warn you. So no space, and then it asks me what should the spatial reference system be. Now, because I'm going to capture it from the satellite image, it needs to be the same, because this is my source data that I'm using to capture this new information. So I need to use that same reference system as for the satellite image. So that's what I'm going to allocate there. Let's say next, and then we could probably add something like name and make it a text and say finish. Okay, so there's my landing strip now. I'm going to close this again, and now you want to edit this. So I'm going to right click there, edit features, start editing. And if I now click on my landing strip here, or create features on landing strip here, I can just simply left click, and to end off double click, and there's a new line captured. If I want to capture that one, capture it like that. So there's a new feature now, and if I open the attribute table, you can see there's nothing in name. We can call it runway A, and we call it runway B, for instance. Okay, so we can give it names, and once you're done, you just go save my edits, stop editing, and now you've captured new data. Okay, so new data that you now can display in your map and use for different purposes. Okay, so that's a way in which you create new feature classes or shapefiles that you can use to capture new data from something like a satellite image or an old map. Another way of adding new data is by using GPS. Okay, so I'm just going to open a new document here. I say okay. And what I want to show you is some GPS data that we've captured. So in this folder, there's a file GPS data and GPS data 2. So let's open the first one, GPS data. This is a Excel spreadsheet with coordinates. So what you have here is we have a X coordinate and a Y coordinate. All right. So the south and the east. Okay, so the south coordinate in South Africa will always be a negative value, while the east one will be a positive value. And these coordinates are in the format that we call decimal degrees. Okay, so it's not degrees, minutes, seconds, it's decimal degrees. It's only one value that's either positive or negative. Okay, so this is the format that we need our coordinates in order for us to display them in ArcMap. Now, Excel, ArcMap, there's some issues, some challenges sometimes, and it won't be the same for all computers. Okay, so you have to bear with me with this. In some cases, some windows will be set up in the operating system that it will not display a point there, but a comma, and that might create an issue for ArcMap because it wants the information not to be a comma, it needs it to be a point. Okay, so ensure that you have points. In some cases, the spreadsheets themselves gives issues as well. So what I usually do is I convert this. It's currently an Excel spreadsheet. I go File, Save As, and I'm going to save it in that same folder. But I go and I save it as that one, CSV, comma, delimited. Okay, so that's the format that I use. It's kind of like a text file. So it solves the issue of carrying over some of the formatting from Excel that gives issues in ArcMap sometimes. So I save it as that. Let's just call it 3. Save it. It's going to ask you yes. If you close it, it's going to ask you again, are you sure? Yes, I'm really sure. I want to do this. Yes, I'm sure. Okay. And then it's now in a CSV format. Okay, so that's kind of what you want to do. Ensure that your coordinates are in decimal degrees, that there's a field X and Y, and that you've got another field describing what each of these features, an identifier, an ID, a name, or something like that. Now what I do is I go to add data, and I select this CSV file, and it's immediately going to jump to this list by source because this is not spatial data, so it can't be displayed yet. So it's going to display it here, and you have to, if I open it, you can see the information there, the X and Y coordinates. Great, beautiful. So there's my coordinates, but now I still need to display them on my map. To do that, I right click, say display X and Y data. Because my fields are named X and Y, it automatically picks them up. Otherwise, you just need to specify which is X and which is Y. And then, very important, you need to define the coordinate system. Now, the coordinate system that you will use here will be the coordinate system that was used to capture the coordinates. So, if you use the GPS using WGS 1984, this is what you specify here. If your GPS used Hartbeespoort 1994, this is what you specify here. Okay, so it's mostly going to be in a geographic coordinate system because it's the locations, and the default usually will be WGS 1984. Okay, but you can check your GPS system or your cell phone app or whatever you're using just to make sure. In this case now, I know it's WGS 1984, so it's a geographic coordinate system, Africa. That's where Hartbeespoort will be. It's a geographic coordinate system world, WGS 1984. That's the one that I'm using here. I define it. Important, you need to define that. So okay, and there my coordinates are displayed. Okay, so now I've mapped these coordinates. Very important. This is just temporary data. Okay, so this is not a shapefile or feature class yet. To make this, to save this data that you can actually use it later to make it data that's available to you for analysis and mapping, you need to right click on that, go to data, export data. You need to select a location. For instance, let's go to our geog folder. Now this is very important as well. So if I go to this folder and I want to save a feature class now, it's not going to allow me to do it. Okay, because a feature class can only be saved within a geodatabase. So here I can save a shapefile. Okay, so I can call it GPS points and I can save the shapefile here. If I want to save it as a feature class, I need to go into this database here, and now I can save it as a feature class, and you need to select and specify there. Otherwise you're going to have issues, you're going to have errors, it's not going to want to save. So ensure if it's a shapefile, you just save it in a regular folder. If you want to save it as a feature class, it needs to be in a geodatabase. Alright, so I'm just going to call it GPS. Going to click on save. Say okay. Yes, I want to add it. And now that file there, that's my final data. That's my GPS coordinates that I can use in analysis and mapping. So that's the way in which you add GPS data for creating maps. So you're going to do an exercise now, practical one, where you need to go out, you need to capture data. So you're going to have to capture coordinates, you need to put them in an Excel document, you need to map them in ArcMap, you need to measure distances between points and create a map for me. Okay, so you're going to exercise this now. Okay, so take some time, use the example data in the tutorial folder to practice this, ensure you know how to do this, how to add your data to ArcMap, how to edit, how to create a new feature class, how to create a new shapefile, how to add GPS data, how to add a new field in attributes table, how to add information to that field, because that's the skills you're now going to need to complete the practical exercise.